Hello again. So I just want to talk to you now about things like client briefs. In your exam, probably right away at the beginning, you'll get the client brief, you'll get some information, a scenario that most likely will just be a running theme throughout the exam. We've seen it in the mock exam that we did, we've seen it in practice questions, there will be a topic or a theme, So, for example, it could be a game development company that wants to create a new game to encourage young people to lead more active and healthy lifestyles, okay? And they might be developing a mobile app game that makes use of augmented reality, for example, okay? And then throughout the exam, there'll be a series of questions that will link back to apps, that will link back to internet usage, that will link back to perhaps multimedia products, that will link back to gaming, and all that sort of stuff. And then when you get to the design questions, it might very well be that you're asked to do a visualization diagram for the splash screen, that's the loading screen, or the front cover, or the app logo, or something like that. Or maybe if it's a physical game that you buy for a console, maybe the case, or something of that sort. You might be asked later on to do a mood board or a mind map for the content of the game, and those sorts of things. But they'll always link back to that scenario. So revisit it every time you move through the questions, or when you get to a new question, when you finished all of question 1 and all of its subsections, when you get to question 2, go back to the scenario and check again. But client briefs are basically they're a way for somebody to provide to you what it is they want to have produced, okay? And you will be, you might be the developer or the designer, and you're doing the work for them, the client, okay? Contents of client briefs are a statement of what media product is needed, okay? So I'll give an example of a computer game. The purpose of the media product: to encourage young people to be healthy and active. The target audience, I said young people, let's say primary school age, so 4 to 11-year-olds. Content to be used: they might specify types of image and text. So, in this example, it might be that they want it to be animated, cartoon-style imagery. A time scale, could be 3 months. That's important for your work plan. A particular house style, if they're a company that perhaps have other products, they might want a colour scheme that links into their other products to show that they're all connected. They might want a certain font to be used. And then any theme or genre or the style of product type information. Okay, so the client brief is key. You've got to understand it if you're going to maximise your marks in the exam. Okay, the target audience is who the final product is intended for. Now, this is really important because what you'll find is that there are multiple types of target audience, So if we go back to those pre-production documents just for a moment, the script, the target audience of the script is not the viewers of the show. Okay, it's the actors and it's the production crew. The script is written for them. The detail that goes into the script is not relevant to the viewers who are watching the show on the TV. It's relevant to the people making the show and the people who are in the show, okay? The target audience of the show is children or adults or a bit of both or whatever, but it's important that you understand that. You might be asked in your exam, who is the target audience for this storyboard? And it is not going to be the target audience for the game or the TV show or whatever the scenario might be in your exam, okay? It's important you recognise that. Those pre-production documents, they're made, the target audience of them is the people making the content. The pre-design documents, the target audience for those may very well be the client, okay? So it's important you understand that you might be dealing with multiple target audiences in your exam, those that the product is for and those that the design documents are for. Okay, and the target audiences can be all different ages, genders. It can be a location-based thing. It could be the target audience is Germans or French people. It could be an ethnicity thing. It could be that we're targeting this at Buddhists and it's a religious product that we're making or whatever. It could be income-related. We could be targeting it at low-income families, and it might be something specific for them, or it could be for really affluent people and something that's very specific for them. One of the things that you might do early in the design of a product is some market research. And there are 2 different types you need to be aware of. There's primary source market research, where you go to the people yourself, the target audience, and you engage with them. You might do a questionnaire, you might do focus groups. Focus groups are great, by the way, because if you've got a mood board or you've got some visualization diagrams, you can take them to the target audience and say to them, what do you think? Are we on the right lines? Is this something you're interested in? get feedback and question them on it and get information from them that's really useful. You can do surveys, meetings and discussions. So that's first-hand, that's research, primary research, where you have obtained that research yourself from an original source, the people you want the information from. Or you can do secondary sourced information, market research, where the information is obtained second-hand, where you're using research somebody else has done. And that's okay in the sense that it might be quickly available on the internet or in a magazine or in some sort of newspaper or a government report, for example. But it's not as useful because you can't ask follow-up questions and you've got to interpret it rather than be able to check that you're understanding it, which you can do with primary source people if you're engaging with them in a conversation. Some good examples of secondary sources are magazine articles, other people's products. So you can look at, if you're making a website, look at other people's websites and learn from them and what they've done. News broadcasts, books, and online articles and things like that. Once you're ready to get started, you need a work plan. And a good work plan provides a timescale for the overall project to be completed, and it shows you the order that the tasks need to be done in order to meet the deadlines. Okay. The content of a good work plan will have the task that you need to do. Okay. So if we're making a website, the first task will be homepage. Okay. Then there'll be a series of activities that lead to the creation of a homepage. For each one of those activities, there'll be a duration. How much time are we spending on this bit, on this activity, and on that activity, and on that activity? A time scale for how long you've got to make the homepage, how long you've got to make the whole product, the whole website. Milestones, which are key sort of set points in time where you might stop, go back to the client, get feedback. So when you've got a nice homepage, before you make the other 20 pages or whatever you might be making in a real life scenario, you can go back to the client and say, what do you think so far? Are we on the right lines? Do you like what we're doing? Because it's easier to change one page and move on from there than to change 20. And most importantly, deadlines as well, about when things have got to be finished. Because again, in a real life situation, where somebody's employed you to make something for them, they'll want it at a specific time. You'd also build in contingency time as well, so that, as things are progressing, you've built in some time for things to go wrong or for problems to occur that you might have to deal with that just slow things down. Obviously, then you're going to get to work and you're going to use equipment to create your digital product, whether it's that computer game scenario I gave earlier in this clip, or whether it's a homepage, or whether it's a magazine or a poster or whatever. Okay, and there are two sections that you need to be aware of here, hardware and software. And the easiest way to remember this for me is hardware is stuff that you touch, that you can physically interact with. So hardware is a screen, it's a mouse, it's a keyboard. Okay, the computer is not a piece of hardware. The computer is a device which is made up of pieces of hardware. Okay, so all of those pieces of hardware combined go towards the being a computer. Okay, don't be tricked into saying, yeah, well, if hardware required, I need a computer. Of course you do, but the hardware required to make, for example, a poster, you could get away with just a keyboard, a mouse, and a digital camera. But if you were making a movie, you'd need a video camera and a microphone so that you could capture video content and audio. Okay, so just watch out for that kind of thing. But hardware is stuff that you can touch and interact with, like the keyboard, the mouse, a printer, a scanner, a camera, a video camera, headphones. And software is the tools that you use on the computer to make or do what you want to do. So, for example, if you're making a website, Adobe Dreamweaver is a piece of software. If you're making a movie, Windows Movie Maker, a bit old school, I know, but that's a piece of software. Okay, Audacity for editing sound is a piece of software. If you're going onto the internet and you're looking for some content, you're using a web browser, and a web browser is a piece of software. So you get the sense of what that's all about. That's the end of this clip. Check back for the next one shortly, where you'll be able to have a look at the next bit of theory for your exam.